The current situation between the U.S. European newly elected government of Kiev and pro-Russian separatists in the east of Ukraine is looking really bad right now. The current situation, as we know, a couple days ago there was a truce, a peace treaty announced between the east and the west, between Russia, Ukraine, the European Union, Germany. They made sure the fighting, the conflict would stop in this very key, important European country. And surprise, the truce has been broken 139 times just on the first day alone, and many people say it is not working and it will not work. We told you this a week ago, February 9th. We made a video saying why the Ukrainian peace talks, which didn't happen, were going to happen, why the Ukrainian peace talks will cause war. We went into great detail telling you how this ceasefire will not work. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at the bigger things that are happening behind the scenes. It's a very confusing chess game that's unfolding between Russia, the US, Europe, NATO, in this country, in this European proxy country that's being used and divided and conquered. And of course, everyone's playing chess, but the mainstream media likes to think you're playing checkers. No, it's a lot more complicated than you think. We're going to break down in great detail about what happened here. First of all, Ukraine is stuck in a very horrible situation where thousands of their troops are actually surrounded in a very key important town that the rebels say is theirs, that the Ukrainian government says no, it's theirs. And they're stuck, and this is where most of the fighting is taking place. Ukraine is also dealing with the issue of people not wanting to fight. The Ukrainian government, just a few weeks ago, getting ready to fight the pro-Russian separatists, spreading propaganda of how they're going to have to fight Russia, started a mass conscription trying to get 50,000 people to join the Ukrainian army to fight the rebels. And of course, the people are fighting back, saying they're sick of the war. They are losing support of the people. Ukraine is also in a horrible economic situation. They're about to default on their debt. They are not energy independent in any way, shape, or form. Now, energy is huge. This is why the fighting is taking place, not only between these two major forces, but the newly elected pro-Western backed government in Kiev understands that coal, which they get from this region, which is being held by the rebels, is very important to Ukraine. Ukraine is also indebted to Russia for $4.5 billion because they borrowed money for oil to be imported into Ukraine. Ukraine owes $4.5 billion to Russia. They are screwed because they are broke. They cannot pay for the war. They are not energy independent. Now, what's going to happen? Like it does in all these other countries throughout history, and if you look at the foreign policy, who comes in? The IMF. The IMF came in and gave a $17.5 billion loan to Kiev. $17.5 billion. Now, of course, Keebler-Elf, this plutocrat billionaire, George Soros, just during the start of this year, a few weeks ago, was saying how the U.S. should be giving Ukraine $50 billion to go after Russia. And Kiev, the government that was over, the newly elected government that was before overthrown, said, yes, we'll take it. We'll use it right on defense. And George Soros is pretty much saying, give them the money so they could fight Russia for you. That's what George Soros, a man whose organizations were a part of overthrowing the original government in Kiev, is trying to do. Now, why are they doing this? And of course, we're seeing all the things behind the scenes that are not being reported on the news. Very important key developments. With this loan agreement by the IMF, one specific detail that's in there is saying that Ukraine has to open up their biotech farming and sell off their land to private hands. What happens? Right before the loan comes into hand, Ukraine changes the law that banned private sector land ownership in the country. They now overturn that law. This new loan or crack loan came in by the IMF. They're changing the laws. Monsanto has just set up a new firm in Ukraine, and many people are saying Ukraine agrees to Monsanto land grab for $17 billion. Now, this situation gets uglier because we know the IMF, whenever they do come in, They buy up all the land. They control the laws. They control the rules. They control the economics, and they do it in the favor of the very few. People like Soros, corporations like Monsanto. It's a land grab. Now, of course, Russia heard this news too, that $17.5 billion was just given by the IMF. The IMF also has a policy strictly forbidding giving money to a country that's at war, but they also let that one go and agreed to give Ukraine $17.5 billion. Russia hears about this and they're like, are you going to pay us back? Because you owe us $4.5 billion. And of course, the EU answers back saying, no, there's no guarantee that we're going to pay you back. Even though Ukraine now has the money to pay you back, we're not going to pay you back. And of course, this is not going to help the truth in any way, shape, or form, because the European Union is saying, screw you. We don't care if Ukraine owes you money. We're going to give them money anyway. They have enough money to pay you, but no. And of course, this pisses off Russia. And just a few hours ago, they are conducting military drills in the Mediterranean, flexing their military might and having their troops ready on alert. And as we reported last week, NATO is also getting their troops on alert in this region, being ready to go to fight this conflict. Poland in the region is seeing everything unfolding behind the scenes, and they are declaring that they're going to spend $42 billion in the next decade, spending it on military. Because, of course, the military-industrial complex has to survive and thrive. And the main purchaser, Poland, of course, is going to go buy these weapons from whom? The United States of America, which they have been doing, which they have been working closely to. And they know they pissed off Russia in many ways, diplomatically. Polish special forces are actually fighting alongside the Ukrainian military against the Russian rebels. That's also unreported. And all this is breaking out. What will happen next? I can't even tell you, because this chess game is extremely complicated, and I'm not going to lie or give you any predictions, but you do deserve to know the deeper things, the bigger things that are happening behind the scenes. And if you know anyone who's being fooled and doesn't know the full story of what's unfolding in Ukraine, share this video with them right now. If you found this information helpful, the sources will be in the description below. If you like the content, click like. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're going to have a lot more content coming your way, breaking down what is really happening in this world.